pictorial format. I want you to notice this. Below the letters is a golden star with 7 points. Now this has special reference to skill, because to make such a star, a circle must be divided into 7 equal parts. There is no exact mathematical formula for doing this, so it must be made by trial and error. Here we have the underlying idea of the intelligence of probation, or trial. The 7 points of the star symbolize the 7 spirits of God, or aspects of the divine life. They also correspond to the 7 sacred planets, the 7 alchemical metals, and the 7 chakras of the yogis. So see, this symbolism is had the ancient world over to find not only wisdom personified in our Book of Mormon text, an ancient text, a supposed ancient text, and to find this aspect of the number 7 integrated so subtly and yet powerfully right within the very fabric of the family structure in the Book of Mormon is truly worth noticing. I've never read where an LDS scholar has put these two aspects together, so I was quite excited when I was able to figure this out and find this out. Leonora Leet. Leonora Leet, in her absolutely breathtaking book, The Universal Kabbalah, an astounding scholarly text, truly one of the most inspiring, amazingly huge texts on the Kabbalah and the connection with sacred music and the connection with sacred geometrical principles involved with the Kabbalah tree of life, as well as the ancient Jewish cosmology. There's nothing like this book on the planet. It's huge. It's brand new. It was her last book before she died. Inner Traditions. Let me get the date here real quick. If I can find this, 2004. I was very sorry to hear that she'd passed on, but that's what we all do. Now, in the elaboration of Genesis, in terms of cosmic space, she says this on page 21. She's discussing the Jewish cosmology. In terms of cosmic space that appears in the main Hekkalot texts of late antiquity, the Hekkalot Rabbati and the Hekkalot Zutrati. These project a structure of 7 cosmic palaces. That's the meaning of the word Hekkalot, or 7 firmaments, the Rakion. In the 7th of which, named Aravot, the mystic achieves the goal of his ascent and enters before the throne of glory. The concept of the 7 worlds, the Sheva Olamot, appears in the text by 7 firmaments, 7 lands, 7 seas, 7 rivers, 7 deserts, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 years, 7 sabbaticals, 7 jubilees, and the holy palace. Therefore he made 7s beloved under all the heavens. She notes on page 22, I'm going to skip some material here. The Holy One, blessed be He, created 7 worlds, and of all of them He chose the 7th world. 6 of them come and go, and 1 is totally Sabbath and eternally at rest. Now the Sefer Yetzirah phrase, the 7 worlds, the Sheva Olamot, in its context is preceded by the statement, the Holy One, blessed be He, created 7 firmaments, and He chose from them all only Aravot for the place of the throne of glory of His kingdom. And then this is referenced also to the creation of the 7 lands, the 7 deserts, the 7 seas. It's followed by references to the creation of 7 days and 7 years. Well, this concept of cosmic worlds associated with more than 1 palace is tied in with Psalms 104:2, where God puts on light like a garment, and then He stretches out the heavens like a curtain. Very beautifully interesting image here. Such a cosmological use of the word for worlds, here the Aramaic almin and its singular alma, derives in a direct line from the Sefer Yetzirah and the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, and though no number is given, its association with the term for palace, here the Aramaic Hakhala reinforces the correlation of this term in Hekhalot literature with the number 7. This correlation becomes explicit in a later passage from the Zohar, which again begins with a reference to the beautiful image of the creative process from Psalm 104:2, the stretching out of each of the heavens through the power of the divine light, which produces the 7 firmaments. The Aramaic raki'in, with the 7th raised above the lower 6. We see from the first 2 centuries of the Common Era that produced the Hekhalot literature, through much of the Zohar in the 13th century, and also in the Temuna in the 14th century, that Jewish cosmological thinking was primarily devoted to elaborations of the 7-stage account of creation in the first chapter of Genesis. That it is such a derived doctrine of 7 worlds that is the most authentic form of Jewish mystical cosmology. She says that on page 23. Fantastically interesting ideas, tying in not only the Heavenly Mother, the Chokhmah, wisdom, as we have found in our Book of Mormon. Joseph Smith did not miss that. We also find it in the ancient Jewish cosmology. Now that's fabulous. That's wonderful to know. Now Hugh Nibley, in his book, The Message of the Joseph Smith Papyri, this is the 2nd edition, just out last year, 2005, he is discussing the idea of Mot as wife and mother. Lady Mot, in the Egyptian thinking, she is also, this is on page 252, she, Mot, is wisdom, Chokhmah, Sophia, who plays a prominent role as the most vivid personification in early Jewish and Christian literature. She is the female component of everything, without which nothing can exist, and without which nothing is complete. Kings and judges were nothing more than her representatives on earth. For Mot is the female principle, analogous to the male ruler of the universe. For the contemplative consciousness, it is all one and indivisible. On page 253, Nibley notes, in the Coptic hypostasis of the archons, the spiritual woman comes to the sleeping Adam and says, "Arise, Adam," and when he sees her, he says, "It is thou who hast given me life. Thou shalt be called the mother of the living." She is indeed my mother, even the physician. That is, she both gives life and restores it. In the Babylonian rites, it is the queen of the dark room, the mother of the temple, Inini, who enters the chamber of Ea and awakens the sleeper, crying, "Arise, thou sleeper, the gates of heaven are open." But we have seen that the beginning of all things, as far as the earth is concerned, was Mot, the foundation of all order and existence. The woman is the beginning of all things because she alone possesses the secret powers of creation. Every man passes through this mortal sphere following after the mother of all. It can hardly be an accident, as Jan Bergman points out, that the names of Isis and Osiris alone are written with the same symbol, a throne or a seat. Without both of them, there could be no establishment, there could be no government. According to her name, Isis the Mother is the oldest, the greatest, the beginning, the primordial, primeval, the pre-existent one, the first, the one and only. Wilhelm Zermatt has compared the opening of the mouth episode of the Egyptian rites to the awakening of Adam in the Bible. The man becomes the man Adam in the fullest sense only when he opens his eyes in a new world, and having forgotten what he before sees and knows as his intellect awakens. But the most important thing he sees and knows is his wife, after which God makes him aware of the rest of the creation, which he proceeds to investigate and name. This is fascinating. The Egyptological and the biblical correlations now have Book of Mormon connections also with this wisdom, with this number 7, with the analysis of the fall of Adam and Eve that Nephi so thoroughly expounds. You see, all of these ancient cultural connections and tie-ins come together. The coalescing, I believe, is deliberate. John Bailey sees a like situation in the Gilgamesh epic and the Old Testament concepts, where the woman is both the initiator of the man and at the same time she is initiated along with him.